Hello and welcome to Crimewatch UK in this, our 50th edition. We first went on the air in June 1984. And as I said on that first evening 5 years ago, if you've ever worried or complained about crime, this is your opportunity to do something about it. On past performance, around 1,000 viewers will see clues they recognise tonight, and about 1 in every 5 of our cases will be solved as a direct result. The detectives behind us are waiting to take your call. You can speak to a BBC researcher if you prefer.
In this week's programme, we reconstruct 12 hours in the life of an assistant bank manager and his family who were held hostage all night by gunmen at their home in Kelvedon in Essex. In February, Jean Kempton disappeared from her home in Brixton in South London. She was last seen walking with a wreath she'd bought for a friend's funeral. 2 weeks later, her body was found more than 100 miles away in Suffolk. The hijack of a lorry as it left the night freight depot in Bootle on Merseyside. The driver was dropped off 3 hours later, but the lorry's load has not been found. And we go out on location to visit our Aladdin's Cave this month to the police station in Brixton in Derbyshire, where as a result of one police operation, there are more than 1,000 items of recovered property waiting to be restored to their owners.
6 months ago, we reconstructed a bank raid that had taken place in Preston. It's a type of crime that's been tried several times, not always successfully. A bank manager was kidnapped, held hostage overnight, and then forced to help a gang steal money from his branch. Last month, there was another attempt, this time at Kelvedon in Essex. But because the victims had seen the Crimewatch film on Preston, they were able to respond with a great deal of coolness and perceptiveness. They noticed a lot of intriguing detail while the gang was in their home, details which might help you identify the robbers. Now, we've changed the families' names in this reconstruction and used actors throughout. The events began on a Monday afternoon in early April when Jonathan Turner, an assistant manager at Barclays Bank in Kelvedon, dropped in to see his boss.
Well, I'll see you next week then, Jonathan. Have a good time.
He was taking the week off and was handing over his keys. Jonathan planned to spend the evening watching TV with his younger brother and his mother. His stepfather was out at a meeting.
Is your father in?
No, he's not in at the moment.
Glad to hear that.
Shut up, mate. Just be quiet.
The family was handcuffed together, and the smartly dressed man deliberately loaded his gun in front of them.
Where do you work?
At Barclays Bank in Kelvedon.
Yes.
But I haven't got the keys. I'm on holiday.
You what?
I'm on holiday. I've handed the keys over.
At that point, their stepfather came home. He'd been at a meeting of the local archaeological society.
What?
Go over there and sit down.
What the hell's going on here?
Where are your car keys?
In my pocket.
The robber in the dark jersey took the family's Peugeot. The family keep a precise record of their mileage for business claims, so we know the robber travelled 9.4 miles. But where? Meanwhile, the family was taking care to observe details about the gunman. They noticed that he strutted, and by measuring his height against objects in the room, we know he was over 6 feet tall. They spent the night on the sofa with the duvet cover. 2 accomplices returned with the other robber in the Peugeot and sat behind them.
Got any gangster movies?
While the real-life gangsters made themselves at home, Jonathan was taken to the dining room and questioned on 3 occasions. On the first, he noticed the gunman was smoking John Player Specials.
Now, I want you to draw me a picture of the inside of the bank. And get it right. I want to know who has the keys when you're on holiday.
Stephanie Walker.
Good. Look at me. Would you recognise me?
I don't think so.
We're going to put Stephen in the back of the car, and we're all going to go to the bank. You got that? Sit down, back to the radiator.
Now make yourself comfortable. You're going to be there for a while.
The robbers took Jonathan's car and he was made to follow in his father's. Jonathan was unused to driving his father's car, and at the junction of Station Road and Kelvedon High Street, he over-revved it. He's sure that he attracted the attention of the two women at the bus stop. They've not so far been traced. They drove into the doctor's car park, where the bank staff usually leave their cars for work. After 20 minutes, the bank manager arrived.
Please, Mr. Edwards, do as they say. They've got my family. My brother's in the back of that car.
What? All right, Jonathan, we'll do exactly as they say.
Straight into your office and turn off the alarm.
In the manager's office, they waited for the holder of the other set of keys. They were soon joined by another member of the gang.
So, is this your first robbery?
No.
How about you?
Don't ask me questions like that.
As the staff arrived, they were locked inside a storeroom. By now, Stephen had been in the boot for 2 hours.
You'll be all right, mate. Won't be long now.
Both of you, over here.
200 yards from the bank, the robbers collected their colleagues and sped off in the dark blue Peugeot. In the Astra, the robbers had left the radio on. The Peugeot went 3.5 miles to Whittam and was abandoned at the car park of Wimpey Homes on the Crittall Road Industrial Estate. Did you see where they went next?
Mike Ainsley, robber number one in particular was trying to lay an awful lot of false clues. He was speaking a variety of accents, maybe speaking Gaelic or Greek, I gather, and you think he was wearing a disguise when he lifted the balaclava?
Yes, I do. He provoked the victim into looking at his face, and I believe the intention was to draw attention to false scars under his eyes.
OK, now we have a video fit of him with this sort of dark tan, Mediterranean appearance, almost Asian, as one of the witnesses put it, but we can bleach that and remove the scarring from under his eyes, and that's what he might look like. Robber number two equally seemed of dark complexion, but that could have been makeup, you think?
Again, yes, that could have been disguise.
OK, and the scarring, he had, show us the sort of scar he had on his cheek.
He had a T-shaped scar on the left cheek, but again, I believe that to be a false scar.
OK, now robber number three, we've got an E-fit of that, fairly distinctive man. One of the men, the gunman incident, it was called Phil, and either this man or the fourth was called Ken at one point. You think those might be their real names?
Yes, I do.
Two cars were seen outside the bank, a red Cortina and another car in front of that. Just tell us about that briefly.
The red Cortina, and behind it was a bronze or gold-coloured Mercedes.
It's in front of the red Cortina was behind the
That's
Merc.
right.
The Mercedes was seen somewhere else as well, around where the families
Well, in fact,
live.
the significance of this car is that two men were seen going to that car on the morning outside the bank, one a ginger-haired man and one a man of Asian appearance. But we have also had sightings of similar cars in the area of the victim's home over a period of weeks before the offence.
OK, and a white Cortina, or what seemed like a white Cortina, was also seen near the victim's home, but this was some time before the robbery.
Yes, it was. That was the 13th of February when the youngest son of the home was at home and saw this car outside with a man sitting in the car behind the wheel. He now realises that the man he saw on that occasion was the number one man. OK,
there are a lot of other clues there. We want those two women who were at the bus stop to come forward. Incidentally, we don't know if one of them was wearing a yellow scarf as in the reconstruction. We don't know what they were wearing, but if you were there 7:30 in the morning, Tuesday the 4th, do let us know. The gun was loaded, yes, and obviously the police are desperate to get these people. There's a substantial reward, £25,000 reward put up by Barclays Bank for this. If you can help, there's the number. If you prefer, you can call the incident room in Essex on 0245 452 120. That's 0245, the code for Chelmsford, 452 120.
Well, before we move on, a look back at last month's cases. 70 calls came through offering help on the security van raid at a Tesco store in Manchester. There were several suggestions on where the fishing rod case may have been bought, but police would still like to hear from anyone who recognises the particular one used in the raid with the Sex Pistols badge glued onto it. On the killing of Michael Fahy, the homeless alcoholic in Bristol, one vital call led to the discovery that the incident with the passing taxi driver and the woman who asked him to call the police actually took place the day before the murder. So that has saved a good deal of police time and money. But most important of all, 3 viewers rang, naming 2 people as Michael's murderers. But because these callers have remained anonymous, the police aren't able to act on their information. So please, would those 3 viewers call back? The investigating officer, Detective Superintendent Sargentson, promises your calls will be treated with absolute discretion.
Also last month, West Yorkshire Police were coordinating nationwide inquiries to trace a man in connection with a series of deceptions right across the north of England. A man allegedly had been befriending women in pubs, then staying with them at their homes for a night or two, stealing then their cash, credit cards and checkbooks. A Crimewatch viewer thought he recognised a photograph that we showed, and he called police to a pub near Castleford in Yorkshire. The man he'd seen had just left, but the police returned and they found him there a few days later. A man has since been charged with theft and deception.
Well, now to this month's incident desk. Some short appeals on crimes from around the country. In the St Philip's area of Bristol, an attack on a prostitute by a man wielding a knife. In South London, the murder of a 45-year-old man as he walked home from a local pub early one Saturday evening in March. And in Manchester, a store manageress was attacked and robbed of the day's takings. In the struggle, she managed to tear a distinctive watch off the wrist of one of her attackers. With the details, here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, that attack on a woman in Bristol. On Wednesday the 11th of January at around 8 in the evening, a prostitute in the St Paul's area of Bristol was picked up in Norrisville Road by a man in a newish white Ford Sierra saloon. She was driven to the St Philip's area of the city. He parked the car in a car park and without warning attacked her with a kitchen knife. He threatened to kill her, but she managed to grab the knife and get it away from him. In the struggle, her attacker was badly cut on the cheek. We think he could be a sales rep who perhaps travels to Bristol on business. He's white, thin-built, between 5'7" and 5'9" tall, with short brown hair. He was clean-shaven and had a pale complexion with a scar on the lower left side of his face. Those cuts may have left him with fresh scars. If you recognise him or have any information that may help, please don't hesitate to call. Next, the apparently motiveless murder of a man in West Norwood, South London. 45-year-old Patrick Byrne had only been in London for 6 months. He'd come here to look for work, leaving his wife and children back home in County Clare in the Irish Republic. Patrick had found a job and was living with his mother in Dulwich. On Saturday the 11th of March at 5:20 in the afternoon, Patrick left his local pub, the Bricklayers Arms in Chapel Road, West Norwood, to walk home. From Chapel Road he would either have walked down Knight's Hill or along Norwood High Street, which would have been busy with Saturday shoppers. Perhaps you saw him. A witness did see Patrick turn into Robson Road. He was being closely followed by a young man. Further down the road, the same young man followed him into the gents' toilets. A minute later, both men reappeared. They seemed to be arguing, and it's possible that Patrick tore the man's jacket. As Patrick walked away, his pursuer leapt over the fence of a house, grabbed a piece of wood, and attacked him. He then casually walked off, still holding the piece of wood. Patrick died an hour later from severe head injuries. A witness to the attack tried to follow the man, but lost sight of him when he turned into nearby Chancellor Grove. The last possible sighting of Patrick's murderer was back on Knight's Hill. At 6 o'clock, about 3/4 of an hour after the attack, 2 boys saw a man who looked very angry and was clutching a piece of wood. This is a video fit of the attacker, who's described as white, about 5'7" tall, 20 to 25 years old, medium build, with dark collar-length hair. He had a thick, dark moustache at the time of the attack and was wearing blue jeans and trainers, and a brown jacket which may have been torn. Please call us now if you've any information which could help us to find him. Our last case concerns this 1930s wristwatch. Greater Manchester Police believe it may be a vital clue to a robbery in the Hale Barnes area of Altrincham. On Wednesday the 12th of April at 8 in the evening, a woman returning home was attacked in her driveway by 2 masked men. They struck her over the head and robbed her of £17,000 worth of cash and jewellery. However, the victim managed to tear off this watch from one of her attackers. Made by Denison in about 1936, it has an unusual porcelain face, a Buren movement, and bears this watch repairer's unique inscription inside the back. It also has a Denison case number. That's ALD 11100 96592. Well, after the attack, the men were driven away in this stolen red Ford Orion Geo 1.6, the registration number D441LNE. Now, that car had been stolen from the Whitworth Street NCP car park in Manchester city centre at about 10 to 5 earlier in the day. Well, it's now been recovered, but did you see it on the afternoon or evening of Wednesday the 12th of April? If you have information about this or any of our incident desk cases, please ring us now.
To remind you of the number here in the studio again, it's 01811 8055. That's 01811 8055.
Our next case takes us to Suffolk. 3 months ago, on Saturday the 18th of February, late in the afternoon after a day spent hunting for rabbits, Kevin Block and a friend decided to head for home. They were on the Earl of Stradbroke's estate, 12 miles south of Lowestoft.
Oh, Toe, come here.
At first, they thought they'd found a tailor's dummy. It turned out to be the body of 31-year-old Jean Kempton, known to friends as Jean. She'd disappeared from Brixton in South London 2 weeks before. This is Treherne Court on the Myatsfield estate in Brixton. It's 8:30 on Thursday morning, the 2nd of February, the last day Jean was seen alive. Jean had been divorced for several years, but for the sake of their 2 children, her ex-husband used to visit frequently and often stayed there overnight.
Did you see my sock?
No.
Come on, you two, get a move on. Bye, Mum, bye, Dad.
See you later.
Thursday was her ex-husband's day off work, and the pair of them went shopping on Brixton Road.
Dave, all right? Pint of bitter. Was it lager and light?
Yeah, lager and light.
Pint of lager and light as well.
Jean was a heavy drinker, often spending whole afternoons in the pub. When they started drinking at about 12:30, they were the only customers in the Loughborough, but they were soon joined by a friend.
All right.
All right.
All right, Trev.
What are you drinking, Jean?
Oh, lager and light.
Jean's friend had come to cash a cheque for £300.
Cheers. Here, look after this for us, Jean, will you?
Yeah, all right.
I'll only go and lose it.
Can you give us a couple of quid till Tuesday?
Yeah, all right, but I want it back Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll give it back to you.
The purse and contents have never been found.
Right. I'm going to go give the kids their tea. I'll come back, pick you up later. All right. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
When he did come back, 3 hours later, Jean had gone. At 6 o'clock, her friend went with her to the Five Ways Florist, a few doors down from the pub in Loughborough Road. She was collecting a wreath for a funeral next day.
It's really nice. What do you think, Trev?
Yeah, it's all right.
It's really lovely. Cheers. Cheers, darling. Come on, look, I'm nearly finished. Let's go down the union.
No, I'm at the game. I don't want to go nowhere. Never mind the union.
Oh, come on. You're not going to leave me now, are you?
No, I'm not going to leave you. I'm just going home. You do what you want.
I'll finish my drink now. Come on, let's go down the union.
No, I don't want to go to the union. I've had enough, Jean.
Look, I'm sick of it in here. Look, I want to go down the union. Come with me down the union.
Look, you go to the union. I've had enough. I'm out of the game.
At 7:15, they left the pub to go their separate ways. As far as is known, Jean never made it to the Union, nor any of the other pubs nearby. How did Jean make the journey from Brixton up to Suffolk, probably using the A12? And when she did so, was she alive or dead? This is the A12 at Wangford in Suffolk, a few hundred yards from where Jean's body was found. 3 days after Jean's disappearance, 2 local residents noticed a dark-coloured rental van with smoked glass rear windows and an 01 phone number in white.
What's somebody from London doing going down there?
Leslie Fares, an estate worker, saw a stranger's car drive through Park Farm.
I was mixing up cattle food and heard the car come into the farmyard. I hadn't ever seen the car nor the 2 people in the car before, so I just walked out of the building further to get a better view as I disappeared into the distance into the estate.
2 hours on at Church Farm, another resident was 400 yards from where Jean would later be discovered.
Roger.
By the time his wife had come down, both the screaming and the music had stopped. 12 days later, Jean's body was discovered.
John Saunders, how many of Jean's friends and acquaintances have you managed to trace?
We've traced lots so far, but I feel that there are still people that we've yet to trace, and I would urge them to come forward and help us.
Now, a lot of those clues that we pointed out in the reconstruction could be spurious. Those 2 vehicles, the dark van, the white car, and the screams, could all be quite unconnected with the crime.
Yes, what we're particularly interested in, though, is who actually was in those vehicles. And as you say, they may well be unconnected, but we need the drivers of those to come forward for elimination purposes.
OK, that's the dark van in Middlebarn Lane. That's the afternoon of Sunday the 5th, the white car Monday the 6th, about 9:30, and whoever was larking about, if that's what it was, at 11:30 on Monday the 6th. A lot of Jean's possessions haven't been found. The coat, the stiletto, purse very much like this. Of course, that very distinctive wreath that she brought in Brixton, it might have been dumped somewhere. And jewellery, of which this is an imitation. This ring with a dark stone and imitation diamonds. This looks as though it's got a sovereign in the middle of it, this bracelet.
Yes, it has, with a Britannia sovereign with the Queen's head on the other side. It's a gold 22-carat gate bracelet.
OK, and there are 2 plain gold rings, and obviously if a jeweller or someone else has been offered that as a group, it's pretty distinctive, isn't it?
Yes, they may well have gone to a jeweller, a dealer, or a pawnbroker.
People watching this, knowing the geography, may have ideas themselves of somebody who might be implicated. You'd like them to call?
Yes, certainly. Anything that they can tell us, obviously, will be treated confidentially. But
Now, Crystal Palace was playing Ipswich around the time that she disappeared.
Yes, that was Saturday the 4th of February, just 2 days after she was last seen.
OK, there might be just something in that. How are her two boys?
Obviously they're young children and they are being looked after by relatives at the moment, and hopefully they're receiving the best care that they can.
Well, if you can help, please call us straight away. The number here is 01811 8055, 01811 8055, or as always you can call the incident room direct. In this case 0473 610 610. That's 0473, the code for Ipswich, 610 610.
Incidentally, we're already receiving calls now from people offering information on the possible identities of the 3 bank robbers who held the assistant bank manager's family hostage at their home at Essex, so we'll find more about that out later. Meanwhile, some more news from last month's programme, and several viewers thought they recognised a man captured by security cameras as he robbed a branch of the TSB Bank in North London. As a result, a man has been arrested and charged with robbery. This man, Alan Ross Doherty, seems to be in hiding since last month's Crimewatch. He might have information about fraud and thefts of chequebooks from students at Oxford University. Since Christmas, he had been living with a woman in Lewisham, South London. She had no idea that the police wanted to talk to him until members of her family saw him on photocall. He'd actually phoned her just before the programme started to say that he was on his way home, but he has now disappeared, so do call us if you've seen him.
Maybe you've been a victim of crime yourself. Now, if so, the chances are you've been burgled at some time. Reported rates of burglary are going down. Even so, property offences account for 96% of all recorded crime. A lot of that property is recovered, and each police force accumulates a treasure trove of things that they think are stolen, but they can't prove it unless they trace the owners. This month's Aladdin's Cave is held by Derbyshire Police, though the possessions could come from anywhere. Eric Knowles has been casting an expert eye over them.
Good evening, and a musical welcome from Buxton. All courtesy of this late 19th century musical box that plays 6 airs, including the Balloon Danube, and all for the benefit, we hope, of Beatrice and Joe, who enjoyed 50 years together, and whose names appear on this silver-plated salver. The salver itself is standing on a splendid Chinese table that's inlaid with ivory, but unfortunately it looks like central heating has made its mark. Perhaps you remember filling it in at some stage. Now, here's an illuminating piece of evidence, a splendid Victorian silver-plated table lamp, but what makes it that bit different is the monogram that's here at the bottom. A chair here, fit for a king, an Italianate chair, Renaissance style, and on it sits a pot that's fit for a prince. The prince in question was the Prince of Satsuma. It dates from about 1880 and is worth several £100s. Passing an Art Deco lady and Satsuma made for the Western market, we find a splendid limewood tea caddy in the shape of a melon. And behind, a pair of English porcelain candlesticks dating from 1835 and hung with these sumptuous bunches of grapes. That's flanking a oak Bible box, probably from the 17th century, but fitted at a later stage with these 4 drawers. Now, I've always thought it a shame that the elephant has to be destroyed for such wonderful ivory carvings to be created. But we've got the magnificent and the mundane here. We've got a lovely carving of a farmer and his son preparing fruit for market. That's Japanese. But carved in Africa, in all probability, was this little serviette ring with the name of Thomas E. Wilson. And to conclude, a Chinese blue and white vase dates from the late 19th century, painted with a pair of phoenix, but more importantly, on the reverse, painted with 3 bats, symbolic of good luck. So let's hope they work a bit of magic for all the original owners this evening.
Let's hope they do. The number to ring here to the studio is 01811 8055, or you can ring the police direct in Buxton on 0298 721 00. That's 0298, the code for Buxton, 721 00.
We're just checking a call we've had on the Manchester mugging. One viewer has rung to say that he recognises the watch as his own, something that he lost a short time ago. Now, in the next few minutes, we hope that you'll see someone that you know, or at least the next few days, you'll see someone whose picture we're about to show you. Here is David Hatcher with this month's photo call. Video recordings from security cameras and photos of people police would like an introduction to.
First, we need your help to catch a particularly persistent robber. On the 17th of April, he was captured on video robbing a photographic shop in Bootle. He threatened the staff with an iron bar and made them open the safe. We think he might be responsible for up to 9 similar robberies in the Merseyside and Manchester area, getting away with nearly £7,000. He's in his late 20s, over 6 feet tall, with a pock-marked face. Witnesses say he has short ginger or strawberry blonde hair. If you've seen him, call us now. Cleveland police would like to talk to this man, Stephen Norman, who may have information about a robbery and assault in March last year. The victim was viciously attacked while visiting his mother's grave in the village of Loftus on the outskirts of Gisborough. Stephen Norman is 31 years old, 5 foot 7 inches tall, with dark eyes and black hair. He has the name Steve tattooed on the front of his neck. He may be anywhere in the country, possibly doing casual work in seaside resorts, holiday camps or hotels. Please get in touch if you recognise him. Next, my colleagues in Cumbria need to trace several men who robbed a family jeweller's shop in Carlisle on the 27th of April. The first robber was smartly dressed and seemed to have a gun under his jacket. He was followed by 2 other men, one wearing a balaclava and carrying a wooden baton. The last man to enter closed and secured the outer door. The proprietress of the shop was beaten and injured, but is now recovering. During the raid, one of the attackers realised that a woman was looking through the window. She was an off-duty member of staff who'd returned to the shop and was surprised to find the door closed. She ran off to raise the alarm, and a few seconds later the robbers, in a panic, snatched 8 Rolex watches worth £21,000. They're thought to have made their escape in a grey Ford Sierra. Have a look at 2 of them again. They're both in their early 20s and about 5 foot 8 inches tall, with short dark hair. One was wearing a black leather jacket and the other a grey double-breasted suit. If you recognise them, please let us know. Lastly, an armed robber who left his calling card. In February, he went into a building society in North End Road, London, with a sawn-off shotgun inside his jacket. The cashier refused to give him any money, and as he ran out, he dropped his travel card, which had on it this photo. The card was issued at Archway Underground Station to a D.W. Woods, probably a false name. We think the same man committed a second armed robbery in March at a building society in Baker Street, London. The robber again threatened the cashier with a sawn-off shotgun and got away with over £2,500. He's white, 6 feet tall, with wavy ginger hair and tinted glasses. In the last robbery, he had a beard and moustache. Please get in touch if you recognise him or any of our other photo call faces.
And if there's anyone you think you recognise there are lines free now. Please call us straight away. 01 811 8055. That's 811 8055.
Over the past year or so, police have been investigating a number of lorry hijacks in the Merseyside area. It's by no means certain that the crimes are linked, but police believe that if they can solve our next case, then that could hold the key to arresting a highly professional gang of criminals. The driver involved was badly shaken by what happened, and he still hasn't been able to return to work. In the film that follows, we've cast an actor to reconstruct what happened to him that night, but the driver himself describes his experience. It's just before 8 o'clock on the evening of Tuesday, March the 21st, Easter week. At a haulage company called Night Freight in Redfern Street in Bootle, 2 lorries were being loaded for their regular trip to the West Midlands. Joe has been a lorry driver for almost 12 years. It was his turn to drive the first lorry out that night. Before each lorry leaves the depot, it must be checked and sealed. It's just after 8:15 p.m. Joe's lorry was fully loaded, but he didn't know what the load was. The drivers are never told what they're actually carrying. Joe turned out of the depot gates and into Redfern Street.
As I came round, there's a trailer blocking half the road on the left-hand side. And this, well, it looked like a transit van. He ran in front of me, and it looked like he was having trouble. I just got out. I'd already shouted out. I said, "You got a problem? Do you want to push or do you want to hand? Push it to the side." fella said, I've got a gun. I was knocked into the back of the van on my stomach. My hands were behind my back. The next thing, they were taped.
A workmate of Joe's was coming back from Manchester at about the time Joe's lorry was due to set off.
I turned into Redfern Street where the depot is situated from Bank Hall. I was stopped by a blue transit van. As I was leaning across to get my cigarettes, the articulated lorry pulled out. It's not unusual to be stopped in Redfern Street with traffic, and the Arctic goes out at that time every night, so there was nothing out of the ordinary.
The blue transit van was almost certainly the one in which Joe was being held.
He said, you know, it's all right, we're just going to take you for a drive, so we've got the wagon clean. You don't cause us any problems. I said, there's no way I'm causing problems. I was bound up like I couldn't do anything anyway. We stopped one time, he pulls up somewhere, and he said, we're going to get out now. Don't make any noise. We're not going to be very far away from the van. He said, we can hear you. He said, you'll be able to hear us.
Take your gloves off, you look suspicious driving around with those on. And don't use names, they're on the job now.
They stopped quite a few times. On one occasion, Joe could hear the sound of traffic. They may have stopped to get something to eat because Joe thinks he smelt chips and heard a drink being opened. They may also have put some petrol into the van. This is Stonebridge Lane in Fazakerley, 5 miles away from Bootle. It's now about 3 hours since Joe was kidnapped outside the night freight depot.
He opened the back door. He said, just get out and just keep moving. He said, once you get out, he said, I'll take the blindfold off you, like the tape off your eyes. He said, don't look back. He said, otherwise we'll have you. He just took the blindfold, left my arms tied behind my back. And then I heard the van zoom off. It's unbelievable. It was the last thing on my mind, that I won't be driving nights again. There's no way I'll be on nights anymore. It's too much like something. Just won't do it.
The following day, about 30 miles away in Salford, behind Carpet World in Regent Road, the night freight cab was found.
Control to 4147, go ahead.
Yes, can you check me an apparently abandoned water vehicle from behind
Redfern Street, Bootle, on March the 21st. Will you remain there and await the arrival of the scenes of crime officer, please?
Roger Wilco.
On Good Friday, 24th of March, a witness saw a trailer parked on South Lane in Widnes. He didn't think it strange because trailers often park there. 6 days later, the same witness saw the trailer still there, but this time the doors were open. Seeing nothing but cardboard boxes inside, he didn't investigate further. Later that day, at about 9 o'clock in the evening, he passed by again, and this time he saw a red Ford Sierra parked behind the trailer. There were 2 men in the car, and he remembers one of them wore glasses and had a moustache. The witness told 2 friends about the trailer, and when they drove past later that night, there was a dark-coloured Ford Cabriolet where the Sierra had been. From their description of the fair-haired man in the driving seat, police have put together this video fit.
There's that trailer with the gear in I told you about. Now put a van round there and we'll have a look at what's in the back, eh? Yeah.
The witness and his 2 friends, now convinced the trailer was stolen, called the police. The thieves had taken what they wanted out of the trailer before they dumped it and left behind what they didn't want. Mr. Williams, let's start with those 2 cars seen parked behind the trailer there, the Sierra and the dark-coloured Cabriolet. Are you sure those 2 cars are involved with the case?
We're not at the moment, but we'd like to eliminate the drivers of those vehicles from our inquiries.
Can we see the video fit of that man again in the Cabriolet and have his description from you?
Yes, this man is 29 to 31 years of age. He has fur hair which is receding and is wearing distinctive royal blue overall.
Right, we would like to eliminate those from our inquiries.
Yes, we would.
Now, the lorry cab was found more than 30 miles away in Salford, and that was quite possibly driven along the M62. So was that distinctive in any way? Is there any chance that somebody might have seen that on that day?
Yes, I think a lorry driver may have spotted this. It is distinctive. It's the only DAF vehicle in the fleet. It has the eagle motto on the driver's doors and on the wind deflector on the roof.
Right. Now somebody might have seen the trailer, of course, being dumped on Tuesday the 21st of March.
Yes, to unhitch this trailer it'd take about 5 minutes. So somebody may have seen it there and may have seen it being unhitched.
Remember, it's South Lane in Widnes.
Yes.
And what about the property that's disappeared? Because that's probably going to be how you trace these men, if you're going to.
Yes, it's a large amount of cigarettes and tobacco, and camcorders, video recorders, split cameras and cameras.
Right. The cigarettes were distinctive because they didn't have a health warning on them, that's right?
That is correct.
Okay. And so if you suspect that a video or a camcorder or a split camera or any other kind of camera that you might have bought lately could be part of that load, then ring your local police, because the police have faxed telexed all police stations with all those serial numbers, so please phone your local police. In fact, if you can provide the answers to any of those points of appeal, please ring us either here in the studio on 01811 8055 or ring Merseyside Police direct on 051 709 6010. That's 051, the code for Liverpool, 709 6010.
The lines are open until midnight. Already we've had a large volume of calls. One person has called to say he thinks that he can identify the man from the photo fit shown on the Bristol prostitute attack as a possible sighting of Alan Doherty. And on Stephen Norman, a caller says he saw a man with Steve tattooed across his neck yesterday. These and a lot of other calls still to follow up. Do let us know if you have any information on these or indeed on any other crimes, and especially if you know anything that could prevent a crime taking place.
You'll find all the relevant local numbers on CFAX, page 186, or you can always write to us at Crimewatch UK, BBC Television, London W12 7RJ. If you'd like to hear about the information that's coming in behind me as I speak, we'll be right back after question time at 11:45 tonight, or you can hear about it overnight developments in open air tomorrow morning at 11:30.
If you can't be with us then, bear in mind that out of every 100 offences known to the police, as I said earlier, 96 are crimes against property. That means only about 4 are crimes against the person. And with your help tonight, we hope to make them even rarer. As we said in our very first programme 50 editions ago, don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.